All right, let's get rolling again. Okay, so quick little thing. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but over there's a little point here, and there's actually some rails in the water. And so when I was here in 2020, so I'm, doing the video and recording, I went sort of north and I'm coming back south, and I'm coming this way. And so I stopped here, and we're going to talk about this in a second, but I see those rails and I got all excited. I'm like, oh my God, there's a spur that's still there. And I go over there and, I'm shooting video, and I was all excited, and I'm like, something doesn't look right about this. Like, it's not, here you can see there's a tie plate. I'm like, there's something up with this. And as it turns out, that wasn't a real spur. That was actually put into place by Nighthawk Charters to get their boat in out of the water. They basically had almost like a little marine railroad type of system. Now, the reason why I paused here and I saw that back in 2020 is we have this situation here where we basically have all of these ties that are sitting here. And we've seen this on several occasions. There's a section that's just further to the north up by Orient Bay Station at the bottom end of Pejutawabik Bay. And so what we have is we have all of these ties that are dumped in here. They're the same name. Coforce, I don't know. Anyway, so what the story is that again, and I'll post a link to the ones. There's ones on Nipigon Bay by Red Rock, and there's a ton of them, way more than this. Like, there's thousands of them, maybe not thousands, hundreds at least. And so the story with these is that these were actually defective concrete ties. And they were, I don't know if they were used and then they realized they were defective, or they found out they were defective before they used them. In any case, CN had all of these thousands of defective concrete ties. And so what they did was they basically started using them for what they're using them here, which is what the technical term is riprap. Okay, and riprap is just basically material that's used for erosion control. So you can see here, we're at this bay. There's kind of, typically if you get a west or a northwest wind that you're getting like today, there's got a lot of wave action that's kind of pounding on here, and it's prone to erosion. You can see part of the grade here is kind of washed out a bit. You can see they've dumped in rock, and then they've dumped in these ties again just to act as a form of erosion control. All right. Let's get going here, because again, there's so much to talk about on this section. There's more stuff coming up. Okay, so I'm going to zip you ahead a little bit here. So just enjoy, we're going through this cut. Enjoy the sun. Beautiful spring weather here. All right, so here you can see the remains of a telegraph pole. I don't think there's any insulators left on there. There's the bottom part of the pole. All right, so next point of interest. Like I said, there's a lot on here. Okay, so this is a very interesting feature here. So you can see there's this kind of road that's crossing the grade here. So what is happening here? Well, kind of a long, sort of complex story. We have to go forwards a little bit more. But basically, when CN took over the line, there was a lot of upgrades that were done. Like, basically, when Canadian Northern Railway built this line, it was built in a manner such that, oftentimes railways, when they get built, get built as quickly as possible. And then they have to go back and fix stuff. And so, for example, like reading about the history of the Canadian Pacific Railway, they did that a lot, right? Like, they would build things really, really quick, and then they had to go back and fix them because, there was stuff that needed to be sort of attended to. Canadian Northern Railway didn't do that. They, there was a lot of care and attention that kind of went into building this line. But, by the time that CN takes over, it's been, the line opens and, construction finishes in 1914. The line opens in 1915, right? So 1918, CN takes over. And so as you get into the 20s, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be replaced. And so this is one of those big replacement projects. Now, before we get to that, you'll notice that we do have a concrete culvert, a pretty large one. And that actually kind of ties in with our story here. So what we're going to do is we're going to pause for a second and go take a look at the culvert. All right, here, so we're on the eastern end of the culvert. This is as close as I can get. There is nowhere for me to look into the culvert. So here you can see the original swing of the bay. And so here's the culvert. It's a pretty big one. It's 5-footer, maybe more, 6. I don't know. I'm gonna check my profile map and see what it says. But this is, I'll put the camera down there. Hopefully I won't drop it so you can see through the culvert. Okay, so we'll jump the grade and go take a look at the other side. Okay, so we've moved over here to the west side of where this culvert is. This is about as close as I can get. Luna's standing right on top of it. There's not a lot of room. Again, you can see it's about a 5-foot diameter culvert. You can see a little bit more of Orient Bay here in this artificial channel that was created. All right, so let's resume our story here. So now the reason for this culvert is because originally here there used to be a trestle. There used to be about a 90-foot trestle across here, because the bay originally used to go, and you can see down here one of the cribs for the telegraph poles. The bay used to come this way and then go that way and then curve and then come back again. So this piece of land here used to be attached to the west bank of the shore. And so what CN decided to do was to improve navigation on this area, right? Because with the trestle, boats and stuff would not be able to pass under here. So in 1920, 1921, and I do have articles that actually talk about this, they underdid, basically contracted out a big project where the trestle here, this 90-foot trestle, and there's another one further up ahead, were basically infilled. So all of this rock fill was put in. You can see the culvert that's there. And then this channel here was dug. So this is not original. So this is a man-made channel right here, right? So this is basically, again, the west bank of the bay that's been cut. And so this used to be the original shoreline right there. So this has all been cut. And then that is now the navigation channel. And so literally this part of the bay now is pretty much physically cut off from the rest of the bay. So just just an indicator of some of the work that is done, and how nature can be transformed by humans, right? So we'll go down here and we'll take a little bit of a closer look at this channel. And again, so this is all this rock fill that was dumped in here. Again, so this didn't, you can see, look at all the rock down here, right? So this, again, was all cut out. And so basically just massive steam shovels at the time and just dug this all out and just let the water flow. So this is now the flow of Orient Bay. But again, this is all artificial. This is all made by human hands. So what we're going to do now is we're going to zip over to where the other trestle was and basically see that spot. So let me zip you ahead over there. I just got to pay attention to my GPS, because sometimes if you're not paying attention, you just zip right by things. All right, so basically here is the southern trestle. And before I say anything else, what I'm going to do is, to give you a perspective, is we're going to get a little bit of drone footage here. All right, so here you can actually see the opening more well defined. So essentially you can see here the shoreline. There's a big, actually a big rock cut there. So I'm sure, no, it's not a rock cut. So basically you can see it's right here, right? This spot right here. So there used to be a trestle right here. So it's just kind of neat to see how that all kind of was done and how that all sort of played out. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to pause for a minute here, and then we're just going to resume our southward journey.